She goes straight back out again. No one's done this since Rose Tyler many years ago. Good old Billie.
Really?
Did a circuit of the TARDIS, and wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would.
I think it's the important thing to do is to say there's no tricks, there's no traps, there's no. Your face.
Yeah.
During the commentary episode for the Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, Russell made a claim that Ruby is the first person since Rose to do a circuit around the TARDIS. I've seen a fair amount of people online being very critical towards him, saying that he's too hung up on Rose and that he's pretending other people didn't exist. So I thought, why not go back and analyse past episodes after the episode of Rose to see how everyone else reacts to the TARDIS and if they do a circuit as well, just to see if Russell's claims are true or not. So, obviously, starting with the episode of Rose, this is the claim that Russell is on about. Whilst Rose and the Doctor are being chased down by an Auton, Rose enters the TARDIS, and upon seeing how large it is inside, she backs out and runs around the TARDIS to check how small it was on the outside. This is the standards that we're generally looking for in future episodes, going one side of the box and then coming out from the other. In the same episode, Mickey has his first experience with the TARDIS. We don't exactly see his initial reaction to the TARDIS, as when he gets in, the TARDIS takes off. We see his reaction after flight. He runs out the TARDIS after landing in the same spot that Rose did her check, and he just runs and hides against a wall. In Aliens of London, Jackie experiences the TARDIS for her first time. Almost similar to Mickey, she gets overwhelmed and just runs away. She doesn't even stop to look back, she just runs. Adam's experience of the TARDIS was a bit different to some of the other companions. He entered the TARDIS at the end of Dalek, and that's where the episode just ends, of him entering it. The next episode picks up with him leaving the TARDIS, but he doesn't actually check the TARDIS, see what it's like on the outside after being inside the massive room. However, thanks to Big Finish, this wasn't actually their first stop. When we get to Captain Jack, he doesn't seem to be too fussed about the TARDIS size. This is most likely due to him being from another planet and being from the 51st century. Being part of the agency that uses time travel as it is, he's probably slightly aware of what TARDIS is anyway. So, it doesn't really faze him when he comes in contact with her. Now we get to the first proper check against Russell. This is one of the main ones that I've been seeing online. Now, this one's a little tricky, and Russell may have misspoke what he meant, but Donna does technically do a full circle of the TARDIS, before obviously getting overwhelmed and trying to leave. However, her scenes of circling the TARDIS are split up by other scenes of inside the TARDIS with the Doctor. Whilst the scenes don't align very well, after analysing the clips, you can tell that she does at least one circle of the box. Although, this one does take a little longer looking at it compared to others, because of all the extra Doctor scenes. It does technically show that Russell is already wrong about his Rose being the last person to do this claim. When it got to Martha's turn, she didn't do a full circuit, but she did check either side, but that's not the criteria we're looking for. With Jackson Lake, he already had knowledge on the Doctor's information through the info stamp, even though it was a bit jumbled up in parts. So when he saw the TARDIS and asked to go inside, he knew what to expect, even though he did get a bit overwhelmed by it. So he didn't need to check the box's size after leaving, because of the information he already had. Now, whilst this isn't technically Doctor Who, the Sarah Jane Adventures did have two TARDIS moments. Under David Tennant's 10th Doctor, Rani, Clyde and Luke all went inside the TARDIS, and when they left, we don't actually know what their reaction was, as the focus stayed on Ten and Sarah Jane's conversation inside. A year later, under Matt Smith's 11th Doctor, Rani and Clyde travelled in the TARDIS, but were already familiar with it at this point. However, Santiago, Joe's grandson, was also with them during this journey, and when he left the TARDIS, he seemed to be more interested in Mr. Smith than the fact that he just walked out of the box. However, this could be down to he knew stories of the TARDIS from his grandma. In the waters of Mars, the Doctor took Adelaide, Mia and Yuri back to Earth in the TARDIS. Whilst Mia is completely shocked and runs away, none of them circle the TARDIS to explain what they just walked out of. When we get to the end of time, it's Will's turn to finally enter the TARDIS, and even though he's got a shocked expression on his face being inside, he obviously knows about it by now. He's seen the TARDIS multiple times. When they materialise in the new location, he leaves the TARDIS and he checks the side of the box only. But looking at the scene, this seems to be more about the change of location rather than the size of the box. Now, this is the end of Russell's first era in the show. So far, only one character has broken his claim, which is more surprising considering it's one of his own characters. Amy was the first companion of the Moffat era. She didn't seem too fussed about the box when she saw it. She did grow up with the Raggedy Man stories after meeting the newly regenerated 11th Doctor back when she was a child. The Doctor was mentioning all this stuff that sounded nonsense to her, like libraries and swimming pools. So when she finally entered the TARDIS as an adult, she didn't actually run out and check. She stood there more in amazement about what she was looking at. Her only concern seemed to be the fact that she was still wearing her nightie. We never actually get to see Rory's true reaction to the TARDIS. Even after landing in Venice, he doesn't actually check the outside of the box very much. He's more confused about the fact that they're now in a new location. Now, while he's not a companion, Vincent gets to have a look at the TARDIS in Series 5. He walks out to the control room, back outside before heading round one side of the TARDIS. The The scene is a little odd because the TARDIS then appears to be in a completely different spot than it was a second ago, and the Doctor and Amy are no longer visible in the scene, but he does appear to do a full circle of the TARDIS. He goes round the left-hand side, heads towards the back, whilst we don't see him go round fully. The next scene is him coming from the right-hand side of the TARDIS. So as this wasn't fully shown, it can go against or with Russell's claim. But without Russell being more specific about this claim, I'm going to mark this down as the second character to make the circuit of the TARDIS. A Christmas Carol introduced two characters to the TARDIS, Kazran and Abigail. We don't see either of the characters' proper reactions to the TARDIS, so we can't get into too much detail with either of these. Mel, later known as River Song, knew all about the TARDIS, considering who she was and growing up with Amy. When she comes in contact with the TARDIS, she appears to more admire the box, and after crashing into Hitler's office, all of them leave, and Mel does appear to look at the box again. However, the TARDIS was crashed into the wall, so she wouldn't have been able to do a full circuit anyway. Nefertiti, Riddell and Brian all joined the TARDIS third episode in Series 7. Whereas the former two had experiences with the Doctor anyway, Brian didn't, so he was the most intrigued by the whole situation. He never got a real chance to look at the box, as the Doctor charged to him trying to interrogate him about why he was there. And then we get to Clara, although technically this wasn't her first time really doing the TARDIS entrance, as this was one of her fragmented versions upon entering the Doctor's time stream. Now, up on the cloud where the TARDIS was, she did a full circuit of the TARDIS. This is actually the closest one to Rose's version that we've seen yet. This is now the third character that we've seen that goes against Russell's claim, but Clara's attempt was the first one that matched Rose's attempt more accurately out of the three. However, as I said before, this was a fragmented version of Clara. Her actual first response, she didn't really get a chance to look at the outside of the box. She knew that it was a small outside, but when she entered it, they went straight into flight and landed on a plane. After they left the plane and they left the TARDIS, she was more amazed by the fact that the day had changed. When it's Danny's turn to see the TARDIS, he walks up from a distance with the Doctor and Clara opening the doors for him. After peeking his head inside, he does take a slight step back and he checks above the TARDIS and to the side, but he doesn't do a circuit around. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people online saying Bill did a circuit of the TARDIS as well. Unless I'm missing something and misremembering and she does it like later on, she never actually does a circuit of the TARDIS. When she first enters the TARDIS is in a corner, so she wouldn't have been able to do a circuit anyway. When the TARDIS does move, we see her in the background checking the side of the TARDIS and then rechecking the inside of the console. She doesn't actually walk around it. Now, for the Chibnall era, we get three characters being introduced to the TARDIS at once. We get Graham, Yaz and Ryan. We don't get to see the initial reactions to the outside of the box, because the focus is on the Doctor, seeing her new console for the first time. And while she's reacting, the trio enter behind her. In the next episode, we don't even see them leave the TARDIS. We see the Doctor poke her head out, and in the first scene we see of the three companions outside of the TARDIS. They're already walking down the street. Ryan's dad, Aaron, got introduced to the TARDIS later on when it materialised in front of him, before entering the TARDIS with Graham. Graham was told he'd have to explain the TARDIS to Aaron. As well as Aaron, Lin and Mitch also got introduced to the TARDIS. Mitch got a view of the TARDIS from the outside materialising, before walking around and entering the inside. When it got to Dan's turn to enter the TARDIS, it was during flux, and the door was now on the console room's floor. They were also escaping at the time, so he didn't really have time to just leave and have a look around the TARDIS. In this same series, Vinder got a chance to see the TARDIS. As soon as he saw the inside of the box, he didn't even question it. He just knew what it was and got excited, asking if he could pilot it. Now we know Rose Noble has experienced the TARDIS as well, but we've only seen her experience it from the outside as it was dematerialising after Donna threw coffee on her. The Doctor seemingly later on took her on a trip, but this happened off screen, so we don't actually know her reaction to it properly. But considering that she had the Metacrisis energy passed down to her from Donna, and after it got activated with Donna, it did for Rose as well, she probably wouldn't have had the same reaction as wanting to go outside and check the outside, as a few others did, as she already had the knowledge in her head. And then this brings us full circle to Ruby's circuit of the TARDIS. What do you think about the three instances of characters actually doing a circuit around the TARDIS? Donna and Vincent's scenes are a bit more up in the air, but Clara's circuit of the TARDIS is a guarantee against Russell's claim. Did I miss any other characters' reactions to the TARDIS? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.